Welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophia, pilot into the universe of Chinese. Let's continue exploring classical China era's key concepts. And today we're going to talk about 论. You can see simplified, traditional, and 2000 years ago's script version gets more and more intricate. I was born into simplified Chinese, but to help myself understand what exactly 论, even if I translate as a debate, but it's way more than that. I have to look back to as far back as I can, and this script language recording a capture majority component of what this concept is about. Okay, the left side is about a speech. The right side is about a thinking. Two major big concepts of human behavior, human think, human talk. And we put the two together. And even if I translate as debate, you can think that debate is thinking while talking, right? Debate is a pretty complicated intellectual activity. And okay, let's unpack. What is speaking? Speaking, we have the organ of speaking, which is mouth, and this two convex shape connected by a vertical line is kind of a pointing down toward the mouth, and that is the tongue, simply deduced as what's inside the mouth, that's the tongue. We have both the mouth and the tongue, two major organs to produce speeches, and then we have the top two lines, and the bottom is slightly longer than the top. It's kind of from first person perspective that we, the language users, facing this 2D frame, we're supposedly at the bottom of the frame. So as we go top frame, it's further away from us in time and space. So the bottom line is longer because the speech, the sound of our speaking, travels through time and space is going to be in that diminishing energy form. So the first line is longer. The second line on top of that, which is the further away from us, the origin of the speech, is going to be shorter, right? So this has both the production and the result, the product of the speaking function in there. So that's how Chinese logically define what is speaking. The right side thinking is even more intricate. Have to do quite some thinking myself and talk with ChatGPT to understand what here we are looking at. Of course, looking at as me looking at, but ChatGPT helped me understand the thinking, the two major ways of thinking. There are many, many ways of thinking. It's interesting to see, but two major ways of thinking. One is deduction, from general to specific. We all know that, right? Deduction here is we can view it at the bottom as a kind of deduction. That 5 vertical lines connected by 2 horizontal lines, that forms a kind of a grid line. And that's human effort to visualize, like in a visual way, to abstractly tell you, we try to sort out, pick out different threads. Either it's weft or warp. So we want to pick out each single thread or each factor of things, or each of the thread that forms the fabric. Fabric is the end product, the real life, the real world that's so multidimensional, and we want to sort out each individual thread from it. And that is this deduction way, this analytical way, kind of breaking down from bigger things into smaller threads. Okay, the top, this triangle looking thing, almost looks like a widespread letter A, right? That's a Chinese triangle thing that symbolizes gathering. So gathering is like an aggregation. It's kind of synthesizing. It's the opposite of analytical. It's the logic, the way of thinking as induction. from specific, we see a pile of this, and then we generalize into this bigger conclusion that covers them all. So this deduction and induction, two major ways of thinking, represented visually, abstractly in this 论. That's the right side. And that's the sound as well. So that's why I don't totally don't buy into this radical system way of separated into meaning maker, the left side, and the sound maker. Simply because the sound comes from the right side doesn't mean the right is reduced to the sound carrier only. The right side is the meaning. So what is debate? Debate, you have to think on your feet and to have the speech back and forth with your opponent. That's debate. And Chinese put thinking plus speaking as a definition of debating. And as probably the scope of 论 is even more than that, because you can debate with yourself. It doesn't have to be a show. It doesn't have to be, you versus somebody else put on a stage, kind of like that format. You can debate all day long to try to understand deeper what that is. And actually, today I reviewed the word dialectical. Okay, dialectical is the way of thinking from opposing side and try to kind of piece together a deeper understanding of things. It's not just camp A or B. It's simplistic thinking. But dialectical is be able to switch from all angles, and so that you see a more holistic view. Okay, 辩论, argue, debate. So 辩, you can see just by the formation of this character, you have almost like a symmetrical thing on each side of the speech. So these two sides are linked by speaking in the middle. So that's argue, and then we have debate, right? 社论, 社 means social debate. It's a Chinese way to say editorial, which is an organizational's point of view on things. And today with social media or with YouTube, everybody can become a social commentator. So that's 社论. Chinese use social plus debate as your own personal point of view or take on things. 论语, notice here I highlighted this is not a 论 but a 论 in a second sound, because this is analytic of Confucius. This is how Chinese, the book of Confucius dialogue with his students recorded, and I translate as a principle talk because the 论 here is a dialectical, probably that's a better one. Dialectical, this kind of speech and debate thing between teacher and a student, by talking, by switching point of views and positions to come to a bigger, better conclusion. And that conversation, that talk, recorded into this classical book that is 论语. So here you go, 论. Thank you for your time. See you another day.